one of the things that you always turned up for sessions. People invest £25,000-30,000 in mentoring. It doesn't work. They then go and blame the mentor. But the reality is, in almost all cases, they didn't show up for the work. They didn't do the work. They didn't ask the question. They just thought it was going to be given to them on a plate. That is not the mentoring that I sell. I sell high-class mentoring, but it's a two-way street.
Well, I knew that speaking is important. I know within myself, I've done a lot of training. And in the intro, it mentioned about their opportunities to speak to sell. And I realised that what I've been doing most of my life was speaking to people on a one-to-one. Success has a structure. It leaves clues. It has a strategy. And what you're able to do is say, look, Nick and Nikki, here is a structure. Here is what you need to do. These are the steps you need to follow. And beforehand, I didn't have that.
Where did this all start for you? You know, where were you at 18 months ago before you came and met me at one of my 3-day advanced training courses?
Well,
£135,000 of sales in just one day. We are going to be talking about speak to sell, high ticket closing, and I have got one of my personal graduates, Nick, in the studio, who is doing incredible things. Nick, welcome down to the Dealmaker podcast.
I pinch myself, Liam. Pinch myself, mate.
You know what, mate? It's been an incredible 18 months. You're just flying right now. We're going to share lots of tips and tricks around speaking and speak to sell and negotiation. Where did this all start for you? You know, where were you at 18 months ago before you came and met me at one of my 3-day advanced training courses?
Well, the truth is, Liam, I was in no man's land.
Right, okay.
Had no real direction. Had an idea. Probably if you wind back, I don't know, 4 years, me and Nikki were in something which I would call perhaps one of the most painful areas, which is the comfort zone. We don't realise at the time. And nothing was happening. We were spinning our plates. Nikki had 13 HMOs and she had to let those go because of her son's health. And what really happened was that at that time we were comfortable, and then life circumstances happened and we became very uncomfortable and we lacked direction. And then we found ourselves on Expert Speakers Bootcamp.
When you were lacking direction, how did that make you feel at the time?
At the time, it was painful because I wasn't sure what direction to go. I know I had some skills, but I wasn't sure how to employ those skills. I wasn't sure how to move forward. I literally had no direction.
So was it like you got to a point running on your own steam where you just basically run out of steam, but not just that, I kind of lost my mojo as well. Okay.
And I didn't have any mentors. You know, that was the big thing really, Liam. I didn't have any mentors.
Great.
So really I was just spinning my plates, and you know, I didn't know what I didn't know.
So you came to my 3-day advanced training, Expert Speaker Bootcamp. There was about 75 people at that event.
I remember it very well.
Why did you make the decision to come on that particular training?
Well, I knew that speaking is important. I know within myself, I've done a lot of training. But then there was an element around sales. And in the intro, it mentioned about their opportunities to speak to sell. And I realised that what I've been doing most of my life was speaking to people on a one-to-one, mainly. And you said it, you asked a question almost straight up, and the question was this: how long will it take you to speak to 200 people? And I sat there and I wrote it down, about 1.5 years. Right. And you turned around and said, but what if you could do that on a weekend? And I fell off my chair. And I thought, oh my God, there's an area that I've totally missed, which is speak to sell. So one to many.
And that's happening for so many business owners right now, up and down the country, and people in jobs. They're just trying to grind it out, appointment setting, 5 or 6 appointments today. It's one-to-one work, not being paid in proportion to their time. There is a much quicker way of doing things. It's one of the reasons why we love webinars, VSLs, funnels, using social media correctly. Every single video someone does online is an asset that will stay there forever. And you can do it very cheaply, very easily. And then you can be running your own events where you can, like say, have people coming in. So I'm pleased that was a game-changing moment for you.
But it was. And what I realised was after you've explained it. It's obvious once somebody explains it to you. Success has a structure. It leaves clues. It has a strategy. And what you're able to do is say, look, Nick and Nikki, here is a structure. Here is what you need to do. These are the steps you need to follow. And beforehand, I didn't have those. And what we were able to do was really, we had a thing called Implementation Week. Okay, 4 really deep dive days where we took a presentation using your template, okay, cut and paste, and then we were coached by yourself, and it literally transformed. And what I discovered there was I got an award for sales, because on that part I managed to excel. I really found the inner me, and I think Nikki got, she panicked, she didn't have a voice, she was in tech overwhelm, and yet she stuck at it. She listened to the coaching, and she got the most improved. So we both walked away with awards, which was incredible. But more importantly than that, we walked away with a structure and a strategy, and we implemented it. Yeah. And when we did that, our first ever webinar, it generated £23,000 worth of profit.
£23,000. That was your first ever 3-day advanced training online. So you delivered that from the comfort of your own home.
Yep.
£23,000 in sales. What was going on for you at the end of that day?
Well, we were just, what can I say? We were just stunned. Okay, we didn't think it was possible, but we just followed the structure and the system. And what was the sweetener beforehand that actually really lifted me up? Literally only 4 days after Implementation Week, I had 5 conversations. 5 conversations. And those 5 conversations generated £125,000 worth of business. Wow. So with that in the background, we were able to go into that webinar knowing that the structure works, knowing that the framework works, knowing that the coaching works.
Yeah, because part of Implementation Week, you actually got my slide deck, my 90-minute speak to sell presentation.
Your £1 million one.
My £1 million one. I've been crafting that for 10 years. Yeah. And it's a template that I'm so pleased that you put it to good use, because you can use the process, command and inspire, story. You use the whole process. You can use it on a webinar, one-to-one, on a phone call. You then went and did £135,000 in sales, selling other people's products and services. You've really become not just an entrepreneur and business owner, you've become a real high-ticket closer where you are now in demand, Nick, right?
Yeah,
and this is, how important has the skill set of speak to sell been for you?
Well, it's been, Nikki, I was saying it ever so slightly life-changing. It has been life-changing, because what it's enabled me to do is have those conversations. And I worked out it is sometimes harder doing the lower ticket grind than it is the higher ticket.
Yeah.
But the higher ticket, there are more emotions, there are more obstacles to overcome. There's more of a structure and a strategy. But when you step into that and you're in that space, what happens is you get that deal. And it's the sweetest thing, okay? Because you're connecting with people on a one-to-one or one-to-many. And the difference it's made has been life-changing, because I now know that I can go into any situation and have those conversations.
Yeah.
Now, if you wind back 18 months, there was absolutely no way I could have done that.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have the structure, I didn't have the strategy, I didn't have the process. And the thing is, what you said is also, it's practice. And one of the things we got from you, Liam, is the fact that you are probably the most practiced, rehearsed. You just really focus on getting the word, even just one word. Word.
Tonality, pace.
And the other thing as well that really shocked me is with the coaching that we got from you, I thought the tweaks I had to make were quite big tweaks, and that's not the case. Because you see things that we cannot. Okay, you see things because you're so much farther ahead than us, and that's why coaching is important. And then what you do is you make that small tweak here, that small tweak there, and all of a sudden, woof. And I think that's the thing that I really got in the 18 months. Because in my head, I had a massive block, and that was really down to my self-talk.
Yeah.
And you help with that.
Well, one of the things that you always turned up for sessions.
Yes.
Now, this is important. People invest £25,000, £30,000 in mentoring. It doesn't work. They then go and blame the mentor. But the reality is, in almost all cases, they didn't show up for the work.
Yeah.
They didn't do the work. They didn't ask the questions. They just thought it was going to be given to them on a plate. That is not the mentoring that I sell. I sell high-class mentoring, but it's a two-way street. We've got to both show up. I do my bit, but you've got to do your bit. This is important. And part of the Expert Speaker Academy, which is my speaker training and mentoring process, we have mastermind days. How influential were those mastermind days, coming to Holiday Inn, getting high-level feedback? Just talk us through your experience with that.
Well, I think the mastermind days were the game changer as well, okay? Because when you go out there, you practice, and you have a way of doing something. And the mastermind days enabled us to actually present to you guys and for you to give us the high level feedback. Now, the military have a saying, okay, the more you sweat in peacetime, the less you bleed in war.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, the more you can practice in a safe environment, without not actually doing it, but actually doing it with coaches, the better you become. And that's what happened. We got high level feedback. We made those tweaks, and when we went out to the market, it just sung. So what we realised is, Liam, is that we've probably saved ourselves 5 or 6 or 7 years. We could have probably done it ourselves, but it would have taken us 5, 6, 7 years longer.
Yeah, mentors compress time.
Exactly. And what we realised is what we thought was possible, you compress that time. And what it made for us is that we were able to achieve a lot more, a lot quicker, and a lot more confidently. And I think that's the big thing about investing in yourself, investing in a mentor, and the right mentor, the mentor that has the right ethics, the mentor that has the right framework, because you invest in mentors, and I've seen you grow and grow and grow, and you hold us to a high level. And I think that's important, because accountability is the thing. A structure is one thing, beliefs another, and then actually what you also mentioned is none of that is not any good at all unless you do the final bit, which is take action, massive action, and implement it. Knowledge is great, but knowledge that's not implemented is a waste of time.
And one of the things that we that I teach on my speaker training is the art of telling stories. To build what has storytelling done for you in your business? Because a lot of people tuning in, they've got a story. They're scared to tell their story because of what other people are going to think of them. And the reality is, some people will hate on you the very thing others love about you. You can't keep everyone happy. And if you've got a vision and you've got a mission and you want to get out there and get your voice out there, then you've got to get out there and share your story. So what impact has telling your story had on your business and your results?
What I'd say is, I believe everybody's got a story. And when that story comes out and you actually bring that story out, it also helps you to actually get that story out, because it makes me realise how far I've come, and that time I had a struggle, that it wasn't always this way, and it reminds me that I had a time of struggle. But what it also reminds me and the audience is that I had a structure, I had some training, I got some extra skills, and my beliefs changed. And having that story made such a massive impact, because it enabled me in a very short period of time to really connect with the audience. And that's something that's missing. And stories do sell. Facts tell, but stories really do sell. And I think people buy into you more. If one of the things I really, and you taught us this, Liam, is it's okay to be vulnerable. Okay. And I think that's one of the key things. Listen to your story, where you really go down into that vulnerability. Some people think that there's no courage in vulnerability. Well, I believe there is. And actually being vulnerable and connecting with people has been the biggest gift that I could give them, and also myself. So it's made a massive difference.
Great.
But emotionally, spiritually, and also financially.
Great. So let's summarise with some of your results. So how would you say speaking, working with me, has changed things for you? What are the results that you've achieved? How does life look today? And what does the future look like for Nick over the next 1 or 2 years?
Sure. Well, obviously, I mentioned earlier on, within 4 days of just doing the implementation week, generated over £125,000 for the business. And we're now sitting and we're looking at a turnover of £250,000 in 18 months.
Wow.
So that's a massive
Result.
Yeah, it is. I'm speaking out loud, and I'm listening to myself. And 18 months ago, that was just totally impossible.
Great,
Liam, totally impossible. But we've got those results. We've grown as people. We've got financial freedom. We've got time freedom. We do what we want, when we want, with whoever we want. I think that's the biggest thing. The fact that we can prioritise family time first, and then we prioritise retreats as well. Obviously, because it's important to deep dive and to immerse ourselves. But it's made a massive difference to us, I think, in summary.
Great.
So it's worth learning the skills, certainly.
Well done. Well, look, the reality is you've put in the work. You're doing great things. You're growing a fantastic business, you and your wife, Nikki. This is the Deal Maker podcast. What does it mean, in your own words, to be a deal maker? For
me, deal making is to be financially free.
Okay.
Because when you get the ability to do that, financial freedom, to become a deal maker, you become financially free, and you also become time free.
Great, fantastic. And what would you say to anyone tuning in now? Last final words of wisdom, top tips, tricks that you would like to share?
Get a mentor. Don't do it yourself. We're not islands. Okay. Get a mentor. I resisted it to my pain. It cost me a business. It cost me a marriage. Get a mentor, and always get a mentor. Somebody you want to swap with. Okay, don't get a mentor that you won't change places with. Yeah. Get a mentor that you look up to, that will inspire you. Somebody like Liam J. Wright.
Ah, my man, come in. Absolutely awesome, dude. Well, we are going to do this again for sure. That is Nick. He's been on an incredible journey, but the reality is he has put the work in. If you are new to this podcast, make sure you go straight back to episode 1 and binge, listen, watch as many of these as you possibly can. I am on a mission to impact 1 billion lives and to show people how to make money, manage money, and multiply money. And if you're new to this podcast, please, can you now subscribe? Can you like? And can you share immediately? That's all I ask from you. We want to get this into as many ears and eyes as possible, and it will really help the algorithm. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next episode.